The commander of NATO's Security Assistance Force in Afghanistan says he is delighted with President Obama's decision to send thousands more troops to Afghanistan. During a news conference Wednesday, General David McKiernan acknowledged this year is going to be tough because troops are facing a more resilient insurgency and a growing amount of sanctuaries along its border with Pakistan.
There has been a history of political agreements in some of the areas in Pakistan which have not played out real well in the past. So we're going to watch this very carefully and see how that does affect the insurgency on the Afghan side of the border.
General McKiernan said those resources will hopefully be operational by summer, the most intense part of insurgent fighting and the upcoming election in August. President Barack Obama today announced a $76 billion plan to help 9 million homeowners, with one government study showing an 80% increase of foreclosures in areas near military bases, 37% higher than the national average. The Homeowner Affordability and Stability Plan consists of several legs. One leg is dedicated to solving the foreclosure crisis. The president said the plan is well worth the effort, but will not help every homeowner.
This plan will not save every home, but it will give millions of families resigned to financial ruin a chance to rebuild. It will prevent the worst consequences of this crisis from wreaking even greater havoc on the economy. And by bringing down the foreclosure rate, it will help to shore up housing prices for everybody.
President Obama made his announcement in Arizona, which has the nation's third highest foreclosure rate. Service members and their families looking for help with mortgages can find a number of resources online at militaryonesource.com. A second soldier based at Fort Leonard Wood has died of meningitis. 28-year-old Private Randy Stabnick died from a strep pneumonia infection leading to a non-contagious complication of meningitis. Another soldier died of the same type of meningitis earlier this month. Both men were with Fort Leonard Wood's 1st Engineer Brigade. Base officials say other soldiers undergoing training and assigned to the 1st Engineer Brigade are being given medical priority to ensure any concerns they may have are addressed. Shrinking the numbers of suicides in the Army. That's the goal of a stand down happening now. It's time set aside for units and soldiers to address the problem head on. U.S. Army Europe Command Sergeant Major Ralph Beam says the problem is new for the Army.
Because this isn't business as usual. This is something different, something new. And the intent is to teach soldiers, teach each of us to be better friends, better battle buddies, better ranger buddies.
Army suicide numbers from last year are the highest ever recorded. Last week's collision of a U.S. commercial satellite with a Russian military satellite is pointing up the problem of space debris. The crash occurred in one of the busiest areas of space. Sergeant John Mann reports.
It happened about 500 miles above Earth. It's being called a catastrophic event because a crowded area is now further complicated by a cloud of debris. Tens of thousands of bits of space junk, which could threaten other communication satellites for as long as 10,000 years.
We're going to have to play a little bit of dodgeball for many tens of years coming. And that's going to be a problem because it'll take a month or two for the debris to settle down and us to actually understand the scope of the field.
The first satellite, Sputnik 1, was launched by the then Soviet Union in 1957. Since then, the U.S. and others have blasted all sorts of instruments into space. Now about 3,000 active satellites are crowding the field, along with about 6,000 useless pieces of junk. Satellites are used to support military activities, forecast weather, transfer overseas phone calls, even navigate ships and monitor crops.
Many of the activities, whether they be commercial or national security, rely on certain spacing between their assets in order to be able to do, particularly comms, to be able to do their job. And if you lose a slot because of debris, that has a financial impact, it has a customer base impact, and if that's going to be long-term, that's a problem for us.
Situational awareness is one area that can be improved, according to General Cartwright. He says it would be unfortunate if this incident were not used as a reason to improve communications with Russia, France, China, and others about each other's comings and goings in space. Army Sergeant John Mann, Pentagon Channel News.
Coming up next, meeting monthly recruiting goals starts with a strong training foundation. Now the Air Force maintains its strong force. But first, the old guard lays to rest its first member charged with guarding the tomb of the unknown. Stick around, Petty Officer Liz Murray is back with more.